Hey family, my name's Ben and I'm one of the teachers here at Missional.Community and I want to welcome you. If you're on our website, make sure you click around, watch other videos just like this. If you're not on our website and you're viewing this through some other social media platform, make sure you visit www.missional.community to learn more about what missional communities are and why we believe they are truly a modern day expression of the early church that we see in the book of Acts and the one that carried out the good news of Jesus into the world. So we're doing these things called MC Moments. These MC Moments are answering questions in regards to missional communities in 5 minutes or less. And today's question is, why missional communities? Why missional communities? And we have a lot of answers for that, but I want to tell you how Jesus talked about the kingdom. Jesus would often say the kingdom of God is like, and he would give an example. And one of the things he said in Matthew chapter 13 is the kingdom of God is like yeast that's put into small batches of dough. And what's interesting about this example is one time, I'll back up, I was at O'Charlie's. You know what I'm talking about when I say O'Charlie's? O'Charlie's, if you don't have it where you are, you're missing out. O'Charlie's has these yeast rolls, and these yeast rolls come out early, and they are amazing, and they're big, and they're fluffy, and they're delicious, and you could just eat your fill on yeast rolls alone. One time I went to O'Charlie's, and they brought out the yeast rolls, but they weren't big. They weren't fluffy. They were small and hard as a rock. Tried to eat them. They weren't even digestible. They weren't even palatable. They weren't even good. And what had happened was they hadn't let it rest and let the yeast rise. This is important for us. See, yeast put into small batches of dough, as Jesus refers to the kingdom, shows that the yeast is what makes everything rise. The yeast is, once it sits for a second and begins to develop, it actually makes everything good. It makes it palatable. It makes it consumable. You see, we don't believe that the kingdom of God should be stored up inside of a building on the corner of a street in a city at a church. Because if you put the kingdom of God at a church on a street corner in a city, then yes, that church will rise and some things around that church may rise with it. But if we take the kingdom of God and put it in batches all around, in neighborhoods, in homes, in workplaces, right, in social environments, then we actually see those things begin to rise and everything rises where the kingdom of God is. So we want your homes to rise. We want your neighborhoods to rise. We want your workplaces to rise. We want your cities to rise, your counties to rise, our nations, our world to rise. And all it takes is a little bit of the kingdom, putting it in there, letting the kingdom do its work, and it makes all things of God palatable, it makes them consumable, and it makes everything rise. Missional communities are just this. Not being on mission and building community separately, not having family and having community and then having church, but instead aligning those two things and saying we don't want to go through life alone. We're here to bear each other's burdens, and we're here to carry the good news of Jesus through our lives into the world, with God, in community, to the world. Why? Because the kingdom of God, where it's placed, everything rises. For more videos like this, make sure you watch at missional.community.